Welcome back to Kaywon Action Star. It's a great deal for me that you're always tuning in to watch my videos. Thanks for your love and support. So let's get right into it.
Hear the kids yelling like far away, and I see the kids looking at me, and I'm just, that was so real.
The movie kicks off with a married couple, David and Alexis, waking up in their bedroom. Alexis has just had a disturbing dream about their 2 children, leaving her feeling uneasy. Noticing his wife's distress, David reassures her that it was nothing more than a bad dream. Just as they are about to relax, their daughter bursts into the room, excitedly reminding them to get ready for an important family gathering. Alexis' niece is turning 15, and in their culture, a girl's 15th birthday is a major event marking her transition into young adulthood. After a quick breakfast with his family, David heads out to work at an electronics store, where he runs into his cousin, Lupe. However, she isn't exactly the most responsible employee. She constantly throws wild parties at the shop, leaving behind a mess. David has warned her multiple times that she could lose her job, but she doesn't take his threats seriously. Not long after, David's close friend and work partner, Creeper, shows up. The 2 of them are inseparable, handling their business together. Just as they are about to leave, they are approached by Victor, a gangster who has recently climbed the ranks. Despite his new leadership role, Victor shows nothing but deference toward David and Creeper, knowing full well that they are the most feared figures in the area. Victor explains that his gang has been struggling with harassment from rival groups and asks David and Creeper for help in dealing with the issue. David reminds Victor that all gangs operating in their territory must contribute 30% of their earnings every month as tax. As tax collectors, David and Creeper enforce these payments on behalf of their boss, Wizard, a powerful crime lord who runs the operation from prison. If any gang dares to defy them, they are swiftly dealt with, violently. Later, the 2 men visit David's uncle, Louis, to verify that Victor's payment has been recorded. While Wizard remains incarcerated, Louis temporarily manages the business, overseeing tax collections and payment schedules. It is David and Creeper's job to ensure every gang in the city pays up. During their rounds, David often talks about his happy family life, teasing Creeper about still being single despite his age. Creeper, however, doesn't seem interested in settling down, no matter how often David tries to set him up with women. Eventually, they reach the headquarters of a gang and demand their share of the money. The gang members, visibly intimidated, quickly hand over the cash. David issues a stern warning, making it clear that they should stop messing with Victor's crew or they'll regret it. At another gang's hideout, David and Creeper witness a man being tortured, his crime, sleeping with a gang member's girlfriend. David steps in, ordering the gang to release the men. He warns them that such petty disputes could escalate into an all-out gang war, which would only hurt business. The gang members see reason and follow his command. To prevent further trouble, David and Creeper personally escort the men back to his gang, the Bloods, and meet their leader, Bone. David explains that the situation was a personal matter, not a business-related issue that should cause conflict between the gangs. Bone appreciates the intervention, acknowledging that a pointless war would only bring massive losses. Their next stop is a gangster who runs an illegal operation behind the facade of a clothing store. The moment David and Creeper walk in, the man scrambles to hand over his dues. However, he makes an offhand remark that offends Creeper, who immediately pulls a gun on him. David quickly intervenes, defusing the situation before it gets out of hand. Shortly after, David receives a call from Alexis, asking him to meet her at a clothing store. When he arrives, he finds out that she wants him to intimidate the shop owner into selling a dress for her niece. The girl has her heart set on that particular dress, but the owner refuses to sell it. Without hesitation, David steps in and uses his influence to ensure his niece gets what she wants. Later that night, David and Alexis count the money they have collected and immediately notice something is off. Victor's payment is short by $20,000. Furious, David decides to confront him right away despite Alexis' attempts to calm him down. He and Creeper head straight to Victor's house. When they arrive, Victor quickly orders his wife to retrieve the missing cash from the fridge. Just as David is about to pull the trigger on Victor for breaking the rules, Victor makes a desperate confession: he took the money to pay for his daughter's leukemia treatment. He even shows David pictures of his little girl receiving care in the hospital. As a father himself, David understands Victor's situation. Instead of taking the money back, he makes the unexpected decision to let Victor keep it. Without another word, he signals Creeper to leave with him, sparing Victor's life. On the way back home, David receives a message from his uncle instructing him to collect a hefty sum, $200,000, from a gangster named Venom. Without wasting any time, he and Creeper head straight to Venom's hideout. When they arrive, a woman named Gato welcomes them and leads them inside to meet Venom. As soon as they step in, Venom pulls out a thick stack of cash, seemingly ready to hand it over. But just as Creeper reaches for it, Venom stops him, making it clear that the money isn't meant for them. Before they can react, a man named Kaneho walks in and makes a bold announcement: Venom would no longer be paying taxes to David's crew. From now on, every gangster in the West would report to him. David, realizing they were outnumbered by Kaneho's heavily armed men, keeps his cool and signals Creeper to leave without causing a scene. As they drive off, Creeper is visibly frustrated, itching for a fight. He has been longing for some action, feeling like their job has become dull, but David urges him to stay patient and think strategically. Kaneho isn't just another thug, he's the ruthless leader of a powerful crime syndicate from the East. Later, David and Creeper meet with Lewis to relay what had happened at Venom's place. Lewis acknowledges Kaneho's reputation, explaining that gangsters in the East fear him because of his cruelty. Once, he had been loyal to Wizard, but after David's father was locked up, Kaneho saw an opportunity to take over. David suggests eliminating Kaneho before he gains more power, but Lewis hesitates. Instead, he proposes putting it to a vote, whether they should declare war or try to strike a deal. David suspects Lewis is afraid of Kaneho, but Lewis quickly shuts him down, warning that if he weren't family, he would have already taken him out for doubting his authority. That night, David and Alexis host a grand party for Alexis' niece's birthday. Their uncle, Lewis, drops by with surprising news: he has arranged a meeting with Kaneho, who supposedly wants to apologize and promises to leave the West alone. Relieved, David finally relaxes, enjoying the celebration and dancing with his wife. However, the peace doesn't last long. Just before midnight, Gato shows up, telling David to check his phone and demanding he and Creeper come to a nightclub immediately. Once there, they meet Kaneho and Gato, but something feels off. When David asks about his uncle, Kaneho coldly reveals that he has killed Lewis. He even presents his severed head as proof. David's fury is barely contained, but he holds himself back. Kaneho then makes an offer: he wants David and Creeper to join his crew, promising them even greater profits. To seal the deal, he demands David kiss the rings on his fingers as a sign of loyalty. Without hesitation, David refuses, turning his back on Kaneho and walking away with Creeper. Kaneho takes their rejection as a direct insult. The next day, David and Creeper gather their loyal gang members to plan an attack on Kaneho and his crew. But before they can execute their plan, Kaneho's men strike first. Gato and Kaneho's enforcers launch a surprise ambush, killing many of David's men. Amid the chaos, Creeper is captured while David barely escapes. Fearing for his family's safety, he rushes to pick up Alexis from work. On the way, David receives a chilling video call: Gato is smashing Creeper's leg with a hammer. Then, Kaneho finishes him off. David is enraged but powerless to intervene. He and Alexis hurry to pick up their children from school before heading to a hotel to hide. Alexis begs David to let go of revenge and take their family far away for a fresh start. David agrees but says he has unfinished business to take care of first. He sends their children to his sister, Delia, for safety, and then makes a stop at Lupe's house. There, he digs up a hidden stash of nearly $2 million, money from a robbery he and Creeper had pulled off years ago. Lupe, shocked by the revelation, asks where it came from. David simply states that it was his emergency escape plan. After gathering the cash, he rushes back to the hotel, only to be met with heartbreak: Alexis has been murdered. Overcome with grief, he soon receives another devastating call: his children have been kidnapped. Kaneho gives him 2 hours to show up with the money. With no other option, David seeks help from Bone, the leader of the Bloods. He lays everything out: how Kaneho slaughtered his crew, murdered his wife, and taken his kids. Bone agrees to help, seeing Kaneho as a threat to everyone. Together, they gather their forces and storm one of Kaneho's drug houses, wiping out his men. They interrogate a survivor by dragging his face along the pavement from a moving car, forcing him to reveal the location of David's children before killing him. David, Bone, and their gang reach the hideout and find the kids safe, guarded only by Kaneho's grandmother. She gives up Kaneho's location without resistance. Moving swiftly, David stealthily takes down a guard, while Bone eliminates 2 more inside. David then faces Gato in a brutal fight and kills her. Finally, he comes face to face with Kaneho himself. A vicious showdown begins. At first, Kaneho overpowers David, wounding him badly. But in a last burst of strength, David turns the tables, killing Kaneho in a gruesome showdown. Bone, having survived the battle, helps David escape. As they regroup, Bone offers to get medical attention for David's wounds, but David has something else in mind. He contacts Wizard, his father, and tells him everything. Instead of sympathy, Wizard congratulates him, claiming that David has now become the new ruler of the entire criminal underworld. But David wants none of it. And that's a wrap for this movie recap. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to this channel for more if you haven't done that yet. And put down your comments below to let me know what you think about the turn of events in this storyline. Also give my video a thumbs up to further motivate me. Share too for others to enjoy. And see you on my next recap. Cheers.